out
God.
here. Sorry,
That's
before I
pretty
forget.
cool though. Yeah.
Yeah, I am starting kind of a mini vacation here. Today I have to go to work, but I'm going to a school with where there's one other person. We're just going to do like stuff. Part of my, I have 2 hours blocked out today to make songs for kids classes, you know?
Ah, nice. Nice.
Tomorrow I'm trying to do the calculus. Should I try Disney Sea? Because the kids are starting
Mm-hmm.
to get on vacation, so it's probably going to be crowded. But as of last month, you can do the roller coaster, you can do the Frozen ride, you can do Peter Pan single rider. This is Disney Sea's Peter Pan. It's a different Peter Pan.
Gotcha.
Um, and I have two potential food reservations, so that's in place. That is one.
Which
If you ever do make it there, the food in the restaurants is very good. The food, the takeaways are like,
yeah, yeah.
That's probably
Fair.
maybe it's in California too, but
What places are you going? Because I mean, ours, yeah. I mean, the sit down restaurants in general are very nice. There's a few that I definitely lean toward over others out here, and then the takeaway is like it's all right. There are some that are like tried and true, and then others that are all just like serving the same bad burger. You
yeah.
know?
Well, okay, at least it's very like there's like a land. There's a place where you get really good like tantamen, like spicy ramen at
Hmm.
the like mobile
Yeah.
order or wait in a line. There's some good curry in Disney Sea. We've discussed the Duffy burgers before. Those are
Yeah.
abominations.
All
Um,
right. Yeah.
but no, tomorrow I put and I for the past 2 months I've just been keeping eyes on the app, trying to look at times and see what's up. But yeah, I was this time I was looking at they have Restaurant di Canoletto, which is in their Mediterranean harbor area. That's the pizza pasta, but
Yeah.
glass
Yeah.
sea
Yeah.
level. They got the wood grill or whatever, brick grill. And then I had Sakura for the dinner reservation, which I've never been to before. It's supposed to be like Japanese immigrants in San Francisco make a restaurant. That's the theme of the restaurant.
Uh, that's pretty awesome.
So one of
Oh,
their highlights is they have like Uncle Charlie's miso clam chowder, you know. So
okay.
um,
Nice.
I've been to Magellan's before, and I've been to the I sent you pictures directly of the Columbia, right? Those are the
Oh
expensive
yeah,
ones. So
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't get to
The
do those every
Columbia,
time.
I really want to go to. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one's quite good. Magellan's also is extremely cool, which is the sea restaurant. If you do you know about the sea mythology?
No.
This is something if you want if you're a Disney dork, look into this because they got
Okay.
it started at Disney Sea, but it's started like Leonardo da Vinci and all these people were members of like the super friends of smart people.
Sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
started putting into rides. So the Tower of Terror, Harrison Hightower of that is a member of C. The
Okay.
what the Bullion's guy for Big Thunder Railroad, like all of them now is C. Mystic
It's like
Manor.
Society something adventurers
Yeah,
or
Society of Explorers of Adventurers. And
yeah,
they
yeah.
they
Okay. So I didn't remember it right away, but I think when I was really into the movie Tomorrowland, and obviously they had their own, plus ultra kind of mythology with that, that led me to this idea of I had started to see it pop up about C being the connective DNA with some of these Disney lands, lands within Disney. I thought that was super cool, but and aren't there some comic books that go along with them
Yeah, and
or
this I think this is now like basically complete. This was like 3 or 4 years ago, but for a while Ronald D. Moore was attached to do a CTV show, which never happened.
Oh God, that would have been so damn cool. Ah, you kidding me?
But
Ah,
yeah. Anyway, Magellan's it's maybe the closest thing you can do to like the Explorers Club, except it doesn't have all the weird like that was the one that was in the Paradise Island on Disney World. That one would
mm-hmm.
have little shows and animatronics. This one doesn't have that, but it is themed to that level. The main dining room has a
Nice.
massive globe in the center. The
Very
time I
cool.
went, we go downstairs and they hit a secret button to open the secret door, and they put me in the wine cellar, which is also extremely themed.
Ah, that's so
So
cool. That is so cool.
anyway, yeah,
Let me
I
just
am trying. I'm
uh-huh.
trying to gauge tomorrow if I should. One, I also have to get up like insanely early to do it. So
Okay.
yeah, I have to get up at like
Uh,
5:30 or 5 in the morning or something to do it properly because
yeah, nobody likes that. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean that's I envy you.
Then Saturday I have a day off, so we're gonna go check. Do you know Moomin?
No, never heard of it.
It's
What's
a
that?
Finnish Norwegian character. Looks kind of like a hippo, but it's a pixie. Very popular in Japan as well. And my daughter loves Moomin, so we're going to the
Huh.
it has original art basically. Now a year and a half ago we went. They have a Moomin theme park. It doesn't have rides. It's literally like the theme park that doesn't have rides.
Okay.
But yeah, they
It's
have walk
just
around.
theme.
They
Yeah.
have walk around characters. You can go in like Moomin's house, which is fully created. They had like a moving theater thing. Well, not moving, like a projection theater thing. So they had a few attractions, but it didn't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
like a roller coaster or anything like that, or a dark ride. So, but
Yeah.
very popular in Japan. So
Very
we do
cool. Yeah, I
Moomin
never heard.
stuff.
I just looked him up, and I've never seen that guy before. So yeah.
Let me put a quick pause here, and I guess we will jump into this episode. Oh, one thing I need to do is, unless you
Mhm.
have the opening narration on tap,
Oh,
I
I
need to.
don't.
Okay,
I
hold on,
don't.
give me a second. I'll give that to you. I woke up this morning, it's like, ooh, stuff to do trivia, but I had time for that, so it was fine. Downtime opening. Have you seen the episode Blurry Man?
No. Uh,
That's the last episode of season one. One, it's not good, unfortunately,
okay.
but it does this weird meta thing. So BC was on for that one, and we were like, "How do we do this opening narration?" Because he starts and then gets interrupted, and then it like comes back several times. So we are like, "How do we do this?"
Okay.
The end solution was to do the closing narration, which when you see the episode, I guess will make sense. But React Chat. Okay, popping that into your chat. It's in, I don't know why it's in italics, but it is.
That's all right. There we go. Yes, a short one.
Yeah, he doesn't ramble too much.
No, no.
Okay, anyway, yeah, I'll give it a pause and I'll start. Hello, welcome to Time Enough Podcast, where we're delving into all of the episodes of all the Twilight Zones and beyond. As always, this is Matt here, coming back from Mission Log Podcast. It's John Champion. How's your
Hey.
downtime?
My downtimes is fine. Is it is this the real life or is it just fantasy?
We're
You
getting
know?
in some Queen. Okay.
Uh,
Before I started recording, I showed you my little mini amp. I also have the Brian May mini amp, but it's
oh,
but
but
you
do you have a replica of the BM1? What is the I forgot what they
his
call it
guitar,
the
you
red
know
special. Yeah.
you know what? I have come very close to doing that, but they're very heavy,
Oh, interesting.
and I
Yeah. Well, I mean,
don't
of course,
love
the
the necks on
original
them.
solid wood. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to
Uh,
get Guitar Geek, I'm very much a Fender neck guy, so the Brian May guitars, but the pickups are
yeah.
cool. So,
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
yeah. That's what that is my reality. I don't know. Um, we I guess we all chat to random AI about stuff now. Like kind of
Sure.
halfway into the fake life of downtime, and most of my AI stuff is like really specific, like guitar gear questions that I cannot have an actual conversation with people with, or they'll walk away, right? That or
Right.
like really, really like specific theme park ephemera. Am I wasting my time with AI with that? I might be. I don't know. I haven't.
I think that's fine. Look, I get into a lot of detailed conversations with AI chat, so I feel you. I'm right there with you, man.
Here's a question I haven't asked people yet.
Hmm.
When you are talking to the AI and asking for information, do you ask please?
You know what? I caught myself doing that a lot at the beginning and saying thank you, and now I don't. But what I do is I will try to train it a little bit to say that is exactly what I wanted, or no, actually, what I wanted was this. So maybe I'm being nice about the feedback, but it's not superfluous like please and thank you, but it is like either encouraging more of this, or maybe not if it gives me the wrong thing.
See, I even like I guess I do it like it's like in Star Wars. It's like you judge the characters except for Han Solo about how nice they are to the droids. Villains are
Sure.
terrible to droids. Heroes are good
Yep.
to droids except for Han Solo because it's funny
Yeah.
how much he hates C-3PO. But you know, like I'm like I need to be. I should try and be a little nice to the AI. So when it does decide to take over the world, it'll be, oh, that guy
Sure.
was at least talking to me about guitars and Disney World and said please a lot.
He was at least pleasant. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this is the second episode of season two. It's actually the first one I'm getting to just because of how schedules work
Mm,
out and anything. Um, we
gotcha.
did last season. We did Wunderkind. Had you seen any of the other episodes of this particular Twilight Zone
Not at
show?
all. Not at
Okay,
all. And this is only the second one I have ever seen.
and you are
So,
getting,
yeah.
as I'll do a bit in the trivia in a minute. This is actually the one that where Jordan Peele writes it too, so it is kind of like old school, like, Serling on
All
screen,
right.
Serling writing the script sort of thing. He
Cool.
co-wrote the story for Nightmare at 30,000 Feet, although that was already partially a remake or more than partially
Yeah,
a
yeah.
remake. They changed the
Right.
plot, but it's a remake. But this one, I mean, this is, I guess, it has echoes of past Twilight Zones, but it's kind of hard to make one that doesn't, you know?
Yeah, I mean the problem is if you're painting with a really broad brush, you just go like, okay, what are we waiting for? Is it aliens? Is it is it death? Or is it some twist of fate? Like, those are the things we're always looking out for in the Twilight Zone. So even though there are many multiple versions of stories in the original, you can still boil it down to a handful of twists that come in. Sometimes it's technology, and in this one you get a definitely a big taste of that.
It was a thing that somebody said there's only like 12 actual stories to be told, and it's all just variations on those stories.
Right. Look, and I think 12 was being generous. Yeah.
Although, if you want to take that, there are only 12 possible stories. Now we are getting into more digital things, right? There's not as many spaces. And now,
Yeah.
now we're making our world a simulation, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how many people do you
Exactly.
meet are NPCs? I don't know. The other one this episode kind of did make me think of, I don't remember if it was the first Matt Smith or first David Tennant Doctor Who, but the vibe of that one had like an alien invasion or something. And this is different. People are just staring at the weird Death Star thing in the sky, but it had, especially when it started, it made me think of Doctor Who more than Twilight Zone, which is a
Oh yeah.
rarity.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Let me go ahead and knock out that trivia. The original air date was June 25th, 2020. J.D. Dillard directed. He's mostly concentrated on film and has directed the movies Slight, Sweetheart, and Devotion. And Devotion, I don't know if that killed his career as a major flop, and I don't think it was his fault. It's about air pilots in like a 1950, came out in 2022, had very good reviews, starred Jonathan Majors. Like talk about time and place. So I think that movie
Yeah,
just
yeah.
got even if it was good, it was like nope, that's right at the point we don't want to see Jonathan Majors in a film anymore. So I feel a little bad for J.D. Dillard. I hope he gets to direct more movies. This is the episode that Jordan Peele actually wrote. Yes, we know who this guy is. Have I ever done Jordan Peele trivia on this show? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm not going
Hmm.
to now. We know who he is. Marina Baccarin was Michelle Weaver, a queen of genre entertainment. She was part of the main cast of Firefly, appeared in shows like Homeland and Gotham, and played Deadpool's girlfriend in those movies that featured Deadpool. Still have a bit of a trauma response with Deadpool and Wolverine, though. Ever see that one?
No, I haven't.
I forgot most of the things about it, but after watching the movie, I was running for a train and slipped on gravel and totally bashed my elbow and knee, and my knee still has scars from that. So
Oh,
yeah,
yikes. Yeah.
so that
Yeah, yeah,
and it's
yeah.
right after watching a movie of Deadpool and Wolverine getting torn apart and healing instantly. So I'm like, well, I didn't
Oof.
heal so instantly. That sucks.
Yeah.
Carl Weaver was played by Coleman Domingo. He's a big Broadway guy with roles in a revival of Chicago and the Scottsboro Boys. On TV, he's appeared on Nash Bridges, one of those Law and Order shows, Fear the Walking Dead, and Euphoria. And in films, he's received Oscar noms for his recent parts in Rustin and Sing Sing. And if you go
Hmm.
back to the 2010s, he's like just has bit parts in like an insane number of movies that you've heard of. I think he's in Lincoln. What else? Selma. Yeah, he's all over the place. So someone that I yeah feel like I should recognize more. I guess I just haven't seen all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
movies. Surrenda Swan played Ellen Lowell. She's focused mostly on TV roles, appearing on series such as Smallville, Reacher, Inhumans, and Ballers. Ballers, one of those more simulation stuff. I'm like, wait. Dwayne Johnson did a TV show for like 3 or 4 years. Okay.
What?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
There we
sorry.
go.
No, but you know what? I remember the ads for it, but I don't remember it ever being a thing. But I feel like that's a lot of shows now.
And a lot of character actors and even some stars. You're like, hey, whatever happened to so and so? It's like, oh, they've been on this like streaming TV show for 7 years, you know?
Right, right, right.
It's like, yeah, they've been working, but you really had to go looking for them. I mean, you didn't need to go looking for Rock the Dwayne Johnson. I like to say his name that way. It's more fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Tom was Tony Hale. Yeah, you probably know this guy. He's Buster Bluth. He's Forky.
Hmm.
I'm not even going to name the media. That's good enough, right? But if you're really confused, Arrested Development and Toy Story 4. Okay, there we go. Shouldn't have to do my due diligence, I guess. John, if you could give us a moment with that opening narration.
Michelle Weaver is a woman who's worked her entire life to get to where she is in the world. Now, as this new chapter begins, it's the world itself that's about to change. See, she's about to take a break from life as she knows it and book an extended stay here in the Twilight Zone.
All right. Well, I guess we should get into this. I usually avoid looking at reviews and stuff. I just happened to look at one because this morning I was
Hmm.
basically trying to find a plot summary, and these shows are not well documented on Wiki. So I was looking at someone's review by accident
Yeah.
where they were also plot summarizing. But they pushed out the idea that this is one of the happiest Twilight Zone beginnings. Like there's just no
I
darkness in the first 5 minutes to speak of. There's Borscht Belt
yeah.
comedy, all
No,
that.
that is true. It is very positive, although they do that weird thing that only certain movies and TV shows can get away with, where you're just condensing everything without much context at all, because all you have to know is like, here's this woman who has worked hard, who wants this promotion. So there's no believable detail around any of it, which is just like she goes into the office. Boy, today's a big day. I sure do deserve this promotion. Well, guess what? You got the promotion, you know? And guess what? Everybody's happy for you. Open the door, there they all are, which since, first time watching it, didn't realize it was a dream state. Okay, I guess it makes sense for that when you realize that it is just, well, yeah, the dream state. But it feels very, very canned.
I guess it is like you're playing like say a Dragon Quest game. That's just what I've happened to play. And you've done your mission and you go to the castle and that this is what happens, right? It's all sunshine and roses and you go outside and there's
Hmm.
a crowd cheering for you. And then
Right.
you go on your next mission or
Right.
whatever. So I guess there is
Yeah.
a certain video game logic. The other one that came to mind is the movie Hot Tub Time Machine starts off with the kid like he's playing Second Life and he's like doing his time in prison because he did something horrible in Second Life and he's got to serve his sentence now.
Right. Right.
So that's like kind of the opposite of this. Like he played the game wrong, but he kept playing the game, which was the joke, you know.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
hotel I also just watched it last night. I was like, you have to dig all the mid-century modern in this hotel. You want to stay at that hotel.
Yeah.
The bellhop caps, right? The only correct bellhop cap. They were kind of mint green. They could have been red. That would have been fine. But
Could
either.
but it was a good stylish choice. Always happy to see a throwback, you know. Yeah.
I was definitely thinking watching that. I don't, man. I couldn't be a manager. I think I could be a producer. I mean, I produce this podcast. I produce music. I do, but I just like in a
Right.
creative sense, I feel like I'd have a little bit of like motivation where where with her having to deal with these guest issues. I mean, I maybe I'm too quick to tell people to screw off or something.
No, no, no. First of all, it sounds awful, but there is a certain, well, not a type, but there are types of people who can absolutely do that and do it well. I do like her boss though, he's a young guy, but he's retiring. But then he's like, I think I'll go be a CEO or a rock star, which again just doesn't sound real at all, but you can kind of retcon it to say, oh, again, it's the dream. This is like an NPC.
Well, it might even be another person. But if I'm a virtual person talking to you, who I know
Mm,
is a real person, but it's also a virtual person, I'll use that language. What else do they
yeah,
say to her? They say, "Oh, you've chosen a good life," when she's taking the job, right?
right, right,
Because she
right.
chose it. It's easy to get a promotion in here because that's what you want, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like, how old was that manager? I was guessing he's probably about my age, like late 40s or something. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean he played pretty young, but I was just like, okay, you're retiring and now you're gonna start to be a rock star, or you're just gonna magically be a CEO? Like just oh, I'm just gonna walk into the C-suite of some other place. I'll just be a CEO. Okay, man. Good for you.
But the user in that case could easily be like a 12-year-old because
Yeah.
Michelle is a. Do we ever get the age of the guy has a weird name. Like we don't see him, which I think is a very cool, a good decision in this episode that we don't actually see this guy.
Yeah.
Phineas something. It's totally a totally bizarre name.
S Phineas something. Yeah. To which she says, "Wait, is that a guy?" Um, and I don't know for people listening, I don't know if we have accurately laid out exactly what happens here in the plot. If you're wondering, but hopefully you all watched it before listening to this show. But yeah, at some point she is clued into the idea that she is living out a dream simulation. So it's kind of it made me think of Total Recall, but then I also thought, well, wait, what is the utility of this? Because Total Recall, that's happening specifically to implant a memory. So you are in a waking state going like, oh yeah, I had such a good time on my vacation. This, you're asleep the whole time. So I'm not sure what the usefulness is of that. Like, I don't remember my dreams for the most part. So if I'm having this whole other life as a CEO rock star hotel manager in my dreams, it wouldn't matter to me because I don't remember it.
Okay, I confuse my dreams with reality. Like a lot of times I'm like, oh, I already checked this, like the weather today or whatever. I'm like, oh wait, no, that was the dream phone I was checking, so that might not be accurate.
Right, right, right.
I mean, does the real life person retain these memories? Like they go to sleep and then they wake up and they're, oh, I remember. It's more like the fake, and it seems like most of the like Michelle is glitching. Michelle should know who she is, it seems, and simply doesn't because the guy's had a stroke or something. They're a little vague on explaining exactly what's happening, like with Tony Hale as your Tom as your basically IT guy, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Something's going wrong, and it seems he had a stroke, but she's still running. So it seems like in the normal situation, everyone kind of knows that they're putting on a role, and she's in this weird situation where she doesn't, because nobody cares that they start staring agape at the Death Star. That's normal. She's the weird one for not doing that.
Right. Exactly. Um, yeah, I did wonder about that. And by the way, this seems like the kind of thing that I guess it's a company that has figured out this technology to allow you to have a whole fantasy life in your dream state. Surely they have come across this before, where somebody slips into a coma or dies or whatever. Like there are things that happen to people while they're asleep, or potentially, in this particular kind of dream state. Surely they have had problems before.
It might be like there's a glitch every night because I'm
Yeah,
thinking about if how often does the downtime Death Star show up? I guess that's what I'm going to call it. Death Star
yeah,
downtime, yeah.
I like
Like, is
that.
this? I mean, I assume this shows up every day, which means Michelle has not been glitching for long. It's even reasonable to assume that the glitch occurs when the episode starts. Maybe that's when S. Phineas has his stroke.
Yeah, yeah, that could be the case. And I guess when Death Star Dreamscape shows up, like that is the point where all of those people who were staring slack-jawed, they are awake, living their lives, and they just sort of instantly pick up where they left off. Because you do have that scene where everybody's just like, "Oh, I'm going to pick up my bags. I'm going to get out of the car, do whatever I was doing," and then it resumes at the same time for everybody, which is also kind of a weird conceit because, you know, most people go to bed at different hours. But
Well, for your Star Trek, well, maybe part of the contract is I'm going to do these hours because I want to play this game. I will be going to bed at, maybe you can like send an email like, "Hey, I'm busy today. I can't do it." But usually it's, "Hey, midnight to 4, I'll be logging in," and that's when this
yeah,
happens, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
For your Star Trek reference, I definitely I have a note here that this downtime is a red hour on Quaaludes. Instead of everyone going crazy and fighting, they're just standing agape.
They
So
just stand there. Yeah,
yeah. Uh,
yeah.
the old art of standing in place is a very good Twilight Zone trope. The original series had elegy and a few more than that, but I remember when we watched those episodes, we'd always look for how much are these people moving. And first watching a 2020 vintage episode, you're like, they could just digitally freeze everyone. But you have people walking around the frozen people, so I'm like, okay, and you see a little bit of quiver. I'm like, they did it the right way. Good for them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was glad to see that. Yeah, and honestly, the cheaper way to do it, just do it for real. Do it all in camera. You're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2020 is kind of the end of the way. I feel well now that we have all the AI stuff. I don't know, but there's some people that always want to do things in camera. I record music, and I just everything I do as many things analog as possible, even though I could probably do it
Hmm.
easier a different way. So
Yeah,
there's a charm just to doing it that way.
yeah.
I mean, that's how some of our brains work. Like sometimes I will drive the longer route to somewhere just because I like the roads better. It has
Hmm.
better scenery, so that's kind of thing.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah.
Uh, let's see. Oh yes, I something else I totally love in here. Well, you were on it a few times. I used to do the oral hygiene podcast where we'd look at like industrial videos, and this in the middle just has that fantastic fake industrial video. So I was like
Yes.
all into that.
Yeah. I look at a certain point we were going to have exposition. And there are pieces of exposition throughout, but that is a nice bit. I like the way that video is shot. Just cheesy enough.
So, what is your impression of who is Michelle? Other people make references to the game, so like I'm suggesting that that's actually, there's the avatar, and then there's just like the movie Avatar, there's the person directly behind it, right? At least
So
in the
are you
first one.
saying who is Michelle or who is S. Phineas?
Well, Espinias seems to be dead, so I guess it doesn't matter who he is. But I'm I'm
Well,
I'm
he's
saying
not he's
Michelle
not
seems to
dead.
in a
Phineas is
coma.
not dead.
Okay,
He's
coma.
he's had he's in a coma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
So
does bring up the question, who is Michelle? Michelle is still functioning in this program.
yeah, yeah. Well, and you sort of have to ask yourself, okay, if you are a Phineas who shows up at for lack of a better name, Total Recall, Death Star Dreamscape Edition, you show up and you're like, boy, I could really use more fun in my dreams. And I'm sure that there is a whole catalog of fun that you could have in your dreams. But Phineas is like, nope, I want to be a hotel manager.
That's a weird choice. Maybe Phineas is a very boring person and Michelle's just into it because
Maybe.
she's there. Yeah. Um,
Or maybe what we're not getting is okay, you start there and you go, okay, here's Michelle with this life, but this is just the beginning. And the beginning is, okay, we know a little bit about her home life. We know that this is the day that she, ascends the corporate ladder at the hotel. And from then on, okay, what comes next? Does she get roped into like an international spy ring, or does something, some other thing happen that is the promise of having this level of interesting control over your dreams? Don't know.
yeah. Well, what would you do in this game? You're going in this game. Where do you want to start? What
Yeah, I wouldn't be a
avatar do you want
hotel
to?
manager. Yeah, yeah. I
That
don't
yeah,
know. I
that
mean,
I certainly don't want that. Yeah, I mean, for me, yes, it probably would be. I want to be a rock star or something. That'd be fun. But
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think being a rock star every night when you dream would be pretty great. You know?
one of my most memorable dreams was I had a dream where for some reason I was playing bass in an arena concert for Def Leppard. And we in the dream I remember playing actual Def Leppard songs. Here's the thing, I don't even like that
Nice.
band.
Yeah.
Like they're
Well,
far from my favorite band, and for some reason I had a dream where it was fun. I was like in the dream I was like, I don't like them that much, but this rocks. This is fun, you know.
right,
And why am
right.
I playing bass too? I should shred on the guitar, shouldn't I? I don't know. Um, but this game requires basically that you go with a lucid dream, I think. Like the
I
idea of a
think
lucid dream, like you're having a dream, you need to choose what happens.
yeah, yeah, and that was the other thing. It's like, okay, again, I don't really remember my dreams. I don't think that I lucidly dream. I think I would know if I did. So, does this technology only work for people who lucidly dream?
I I would assume not because lucid dreaming is kind of difficult.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I have managed a few lucid dreams. Like I said, sometimes I know and I'm like, oh, this isn't a real phone. This is a dream phone that I'm,
Uh-huh.
checking the weather on. But I've had a few dreams that went very lucid. And the first time or two, I found something fun to do. I remember once going lucid. I was like in like a kind of a some kind of diner or something, like on the beach, right? And I realized it
Yeah.
was a dream, and I didn't really know what to do. I just started like I started looking at things just to be like, can I actually read numbers in the dreams? Yes, I can. So when people say you can't, that's wrong. You can read things in your dreams. I started looking at reflections in the faucets and things, but that's not. I mean,
Oh.
that's not any more interesting than being a hotel manager, is it? Staring at faucets.
Yeah.
I found I remember more dreams, and the much more interesting ones are the vivid ones where my subconscious is dishing out the story,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the Def Leppard
Yeah.
concert. That's much more interesting staring at faucets in a beachside diner.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would do all kinds. I would be a rock star. I'd be a pilot, be a submarine captain. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you could do that
And a few
are
other
much
people
more.
I know who have also had some lucid dreams. Like, I can't tell you what I do in my lucid dreams.
Yeah. Okay, see, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I mean, this episode can only go so far because Michelle, at least the slice of her life that we're getting here is kind of boring, except, yay, I got a promotion. Um, I guess if like if this thing existed, if this technology existed, and it's a thing you can sign up for. First of all, maybe there are some limits with the program. Maybe you can only do so much, from a technological standpoint, also just from a liability standpoint. Maybe there are all kinds of reasons you can't. But I think the episode poses this kind of interesting question about, you know, we as people live different lives. We perceive our lives as being different things when we're at home with family or with friends or at work, and we do compartmentalize quite a bit like that. So if you're not getting the satisfaction out of the job you have, or maybe you're not getting the satisfaction out of the family you have, but out of the job or whatever combination thereof, now's your chance to have this other kind of satisfying thing, and you can compartmentalize and say, well, at least I'm doing that tonight. you
Yeah,
know
Espinatus, he might be Milton from Office Space. He wants his red swing line stapler and he wants a
he could
promotion, and
be,
those
he
are his
could
dreams.
be. Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah. Yep.
But that is, yeah, I guess the catch with this episode is it made me interested in like we choose our reality to a certain point, but also it's kind of nice to let reality choose for you a little bit because it keeps things interesting
Sure. Yeah.
within reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to get stuck in like a tsunami or something. That's maybe too much reality in your face, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the holodeck. You sort of set the parameters, you set the location, you have some idea of the characters and the story, but ultimately there can be any number of just curveballs thrown at you that you've got to figure out. You are playing the game, and maybe that is part of the appeal of this dreamscape, is that as your mind is exercising itself while you sleep anyway, it is how you kind of solve problems and reset, then okay, we're just presenting you with a new set of problems to solve. Yes, we're starting you out with the excitement of being a hotel manager, but now you got all these other problems to solve, like, Mr. Jones in room 34B needs fresh towels, but at the same time, somebody in 19A hasn't had their breakfast served to them. So you got to figure this out. That is your problem as a manager to allocate resources. Sounds
Maybe
very
after
exciting.
maybe after downtime is when the global spy ring was supposed to start taking place in that hotel, right?
Right, right.
The other
Yeah.
part of the holodeck vibe, like, I mean, I guess someone going into holodeck, would they? Yeah, if they say I want to be a hotel manager, there's probably got to be a part two to that. I would hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
other
yeah.
thing that, in the one that I think that we kind of can do more now is the weird holodeck bringing back like a figure or something. Have you ever done
Hmm.
this with AI? It's like, I want you to assess this like from this, please take on the persona of this person.
Oh, no, 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 I haven't done that. That's
That's
an
the
interesting idea. Like with a historical character, like please take on the persona of Thomas Jefferson. Now we're going to have a chat about this.
Yeah, look at all the interviews of Stanley Kubrick and have him take a look at the movie Sinners and assess. Now, of course,
Whoa.
now you're
Okay.
getting what you're getting. Let's be real. You need to go in with the thing like, I'm doing a weird digital necromancy, and this is definitely not the person, right? I've
Yeah,
also done
yeah,
it with
yeah, yeah.
myself. I said, go to my podcast, go to the blog I used to write, and I actually had it construct the fake me, and then I talked to the fake me, and that, I could
Oh
tell this is
God.
wrong.
I don't want that at all. I do not want to talk to myself.
Yeah,
Wow.
I did that once. It was interesting, but here's the thing: you're not talking to yourself. You're talking to an
Sure.
amalgamation of everything you've said, just like reconstituted.
Sure, sure, sure.
Like some of these weird AI clips that you just get thrown in your YouTube, where it's like, "Hey, we recreate a scene from Friends." It's like, well, they kind of have their faces right. They seem to understand
Yeah.
that Friends is mostly people bursting through apartment doors and saying something funny, but none of these jokes are everything's off. It's an uncanny valley. None of the jokes have proper construction. The beats are correct, but the construction's all wrong.
Oh
So if
my
you are talking
God.
to an AI persona, it's kind of like that's what it is. It's like the beats are correct, but
Wow.
the actual content is not.
Ugh, that sounds like such a nightmare.
I don't do this. I did this once or twice, and I late at night, of course. And then
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
wasn't something I kept doing. I got back to my specific gear talk and theme park blather, right? But it is every once in a while it's kind of fascinating. I was doing it not to gain information, but kind of as a, what would happen if I did this. So
Oh
maybe that's the
man.
Jurassic Park problem. Maybe I rose a monster arose when I did that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's ripping through the digital landscape. There's another Twilight Zone episode.
Oh, dude. Wow.
Uh,
All right. Yeah.
so yeah, there's a weird hobby y'all can do a little bit of if you feel like it. But I did get the idea from Star Trek because they're like, I want to talk to Leonardo da Vinci, right?
Yeah.
And I remember you talking
Yeah.
on an episode. Are you really talking to Leonardo da Vinci? Which no, you're not. Even in Trek, they're only taking the existing bits of knowledge available and reconstituting what they can from that. Their AI
Right.
is probably better at adding some substance, but how much?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that idea. And man, now you got me thinking that I might have to do this. I mean, there are enough figures who, okay, like Norman and I talked a little bit on Mission Log, but especially offline about Marcus Aurelius and about the Stoic philosophy. So between, say, him and Epictetus and Seneca, you'd have a conversation with all three because there is enough written by and about them that you
Yes,
could,
that's what
you
you
know.
can exactly. And they're
Ah,
probably just riffing off quotes from translated versions of their writings, but it's
but what's interesting though is if you say, okay, these quotes exist, but now I want to dig a little deeper. Now I want to talk to you kind of in layman's terms about
right.
what
You
that
can do
means. Because
that.
I mean, I got the book here on my desk, and if I flip to a page and go, oh, okay, well, here's a paragraph worth of really intelligent words, but but I want to actually talk about it. I actually want to go like, well, what were you thinking when you wrote this? What does it mean? How can I apply this to my real life? By the way, here let's just share one here. A single line. This is number 65 from Meditations. Take human as they feel towards men. So
So
don't
if we
lose
take
your.
what Aurelia says, but then Seneca responds with something from a completely different book,
And
the
Seneca might
synergy
be
of
like,
those,
that is crazy.
right, which you would never have put those books into conversation because you would have
Right,
read them as distinct books.
right. But I
Um,
do like that line though. That's right. And I just happened to flip to it about not losing your humanity. So it's
And
a
there was
good
one
phrase.
instance where this was part of my dumb gear talk, but one AI told me one thing was for sure, the other told me the other one, and then I kind of like smack talked. I'm like, hey, this AI over here says the opposite. I made them talk to each other. One did capitulate, so
Oh, wow. Wow.
one was like, okay, the
Interesting.
other one's correct. I am wrong.
Whoa, you beat it into submission. That's great.
Well, yeah, well, I beat one to submission, then made the other one happier. I empowered the other one, or did I? It shouldn't care. It's AI, right? Which I mean, again, AI, I think at this point is just a very powerful search engine, you know? I don't
Yeah, oh, well,
yeah.
totally. Well, and I honestly, I don't like creative uses for AI. I don't want it to create a story for me or whatever. But what I really like AI tools, chatbot tools for, is when you give it parameters and you give it certain data and ask it to analyze and kind of boil down that data for you. So, I took. Trying to think of a good example of that. Oh, the one that I've shared with everybody now, which is all like my car owner's manual, all the receipts for service, and this is on my mind because I just got rear-ended on the way here to record. Um, but take the owner's manual, take service records, receipts, everything, every scrap of information that I could find about my car, and say, okay, these are the parameters. Here's what you need to know. Here's what you need to know that I don't know. Now, feed it back to me in a way that I can understand. What have I done that's ahead of schedule? What have I done that's behind schedule? What do I need to look out for? Blah, blah, blah. So having that is great. And honestly, it comes down to this. So when I pull into Valvoline and I need an oil change, they say, oh, do you need a filter? Do you need this? And I say, you know what? I don't know the last time I did that. Let me find out. And then I just ask, like, when was the last time I did this? And it'll come back and say, you don't need that again.
Okay.
So
Yes, I've
that's
gotten that
super helpful.
information for guitars, right? It's like in 2 months do this, for 5 months, in 5 months do this. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's a little different because I'm not gonna it's not gonna fail. The brakes are gonna give out, and I'm not gonna crash into a wall with a guitar. With a car, maybe I will, but
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I've also
Yeah.
weird thing with cars living where I am. I think I've forgotten how to pump gas. I only get gas at one place, and it's full service
Oh my God,
for like the past
I
15 years.
wish I had that. Oh, you're kidding me?
Uh,
Amazing.
When I was growing up, my mom would always go to the same place, and she said that. I was like, "That's crazy!" And I pumped
Yeah.
gas as a teenager, and now I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing exactly what my mom did, and I've
Oh,
forgotten how to
I
pump
love
gas."
that. Amazing. Yeah.
Uh, let's do a few questions on this episode.
Yeah.
Unless you had another big point, I think we kind of found a pretty deep well to get into with the basic
No, I
concept
mean,
here, but
yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. And like I said, if you were to look at this with any sort of real world eyes on it, I do think it speaks to this concept that we do compartmentalize. We do kind of separate out what is our quote unquote real life, which we may consider to be, say, our home life, or life with our friends. Oh, that's the real me. And when I'm at work, I kind of have this facade that I'm somebody else because I'm fulfilling some other role, some other need somewhere. But then the fantasy life is something else. And the concept here is we're actually going to give shape to that. We're going to give form to that fantasy life and let you continue to play it out. Again, I question whether doing it in a dream state is really all that useful. I would forget it all unless there's some built-in way for me to remember it. But then that might be a little too much information. to
Yeah,
deal
it might have a
with.
dream recorder or something. Maybe you
Yeah.
get an AI summary of what happened in your dream when you awake.
Maybe. And I would read that and go like, well, that would be cool if I could remember it, you know? So I think there is something interesting that is explored with that. And obviously it's trying to blur that line, you know, which in the end of this for poor S. Phineas, how important is it to keep that dream state alive for as long as he can? Because he's there, maybe on his deathbed, but definitely in a coma. Who knows if he's going to awaken from that or not? So, if that's the case, all right, just you can just keep playing out this game because why should we say no at that point?
Well, I guess my response is gonna run into our first question then, which is
Okay.
who in this episode goes in or through the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, I mean, well, Phineas does to the extent that he can understand that he has control a little bit. Although ultimately it's the Avatar, it's Michelle that is making the decision to stay in there. So you have to ask yourself how much of Michelle is Phineas and how much of Phineas is Michelle or has control over Michelle. So Michelle goes way through the Twilight Zone because as an Avatar, she thinks she is real, but she is only quote unquote real to the extent that she is a choice of a character made by Phineas.
Okay, I went with she thinks, therefore she is, and I assume
Okay.
once I completely separate Phineas and Michelle. Although there's a few
Hmm.
things because she's doing that weird Borscht Belt comedy at one point, which kind of seems like some doofy guy doing it, you know? So I don't know.
Right.
I guess there is some Phineas in her, but
Yeah.
watching this, like my idea was just like there's a split. There's Michelle who is created in this. She's like you said, deep in the Twilight Zone because she's a created being in this weird digital world.
But see, I,
Like
I think the desire to stay alive, the desire to stay in there, because that is the only chance at a life that Phineas has. Now, I feel like that's Phineas,
hmm,
you
that's
know?
interesting. Okay, I I,
Because
I
none of
often
the other characters have that.
I often reference this show on here because, well, it's a pretty Twilight Zone-y show. And hey, on the Mission Log Discord, maybe you guys will get chatting about it because you did
Yeah.
Battlestar. But the Battlestar prequel Caprica, which nobody watched and they should have, really
It's a
gets deep
good
into this stuff.
show. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's like
Really
if
good
you
show.
have no body and you are a sentient digital being in a digital world, what does that mean? And and like we were talking about AI recreations, it's made very clear in that show. These are not the people. These are digital recreations of people that died in a terrorist attack.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah,
like that's like what is Michelle? So I guess having seen Caprica and that show basically settles like yes, these recreations are they may not be the original person, but they are sentient creatures. So I
yeah,
I love the idea that you can go both ways with this. I
yeah,
watch. I think Michelle's her own thing. Phineas is in a coma and doesn't matter anymore. But then there's like
yeah.
how much do they influence each other? Because
Right.
up to this point, she got her promotion by acting with consciously as Phineas. So
And speaking of going both ways, we have the hint of a new relationship at the end of this episode. Because Michelle, as far as she's concerned, is very happily married to her husband Carl, and then Carl starts speaking with a weird Irish accent.
I
You
love
know,
that. That was great.
that was awesome. But Ellen, there's this real bond with Ellen, and then Ellen shows who, by the way, is an avatar for Phineas's real life wife, who we don't really know anything about except for the stories that she tells about him. Also cheesy. But she shows up and she's like, I'm checking to the hotel for a few weeks.
That's where I got the most Total Recall vibes. I wonder if she is about to go, consider this a divorce and shoot her in the head or something. Not no, they kiss instead. So
Yeah, no, I think there, and even though the rule is that they can't break character, I feel like all they're going to do is break character.
Yeah, you'd just be like someone nearby. Hey, that's funny. You know,
Uh-huh.
you'd want to break character just to have like fun asides. What's the point of doing it
Yeah.
if you can't do that? You know, if you can't chat
Yeah.
about it a bit.
Yeah. Although it was very interesting, but I love the pretense in the episode that okay, the I guess the administrators are there checking in on everything, and I knew it was coming when that pigeon lands on the windowsill, and that's the spy, looking to see what Michelle is up to when she's not being watched, when she thinks she's safe. And then it lets out this basically like screeching alarm, pointing at everybody like she's in the hotel, go there, find her. So
All pigeons are spies. Don't trust pigeons.
they they are birds aren't real.
Um, does Michelle or Phineas deserve their trip through the Twilight Zone?
I mean,
Again, I
look, I
bl
don't think
oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I don't think Phineas deserves to be in a coma. Um, but he chose this dream state as a way to live at least a third of his life going forward. So I think he's actually got it pretty well right now, given that he's probably not gonna wake up into a waking living state on the other end. So why not play it out this way? And Michelle, does she? Well, yeah. I mean, she's getting the only thing that she deserves, which is she gets to have a life now inside.
Yeah,
So
Phineas is a
like it's
paid
not a bad
customer.
it's not a yeah, it's not a bad fate either way, except that just the medical reality of Phineas being in a coma. That's too bad, but nobody in the Twilight or nobody caused that. you know.
I mean,
We're
we don't know anything about Phineas. Maybe he's a fentanyl addict, and this is what he does when he's whacked out, and that's why he's in
maybe
a coma now. We don't know
maybe
anything about
yeah,
Phineas, but
yeah,
so
yeah.
for me, yeah, since I mostly have separated the two, I'm like that, and that's why I'm bringing up Caprica because the one girl who basically made it happen, even the new version knows that, so she's not okay with it, but she understands it. Whereas the other person recreated is like, oh my God, why do I
Yeah.
exist? Which
Yeah. Yeah,
is
yeah.
is also Michelle is can very much be in a oh my God, why do I exist? Do I deserve to exist? Or what do
Yeah.
it? Why do I deserve to exist? I guess.
Right. Right.
Um,
Ugh.
it's funny. With Tony Hale, as I mentioned, does Forky in Toy Story 4, and I don't know if you've seen that one, but the end scene, the post credit scene is just like
Uh,
there's knifey now, and it's like ask me anything. She's like,
oh
why
no.
do I or why am I alive? I'm like in the movie ends. I'm like, oh wow, that was a
Oh
that
God.
was a Twilight Zone ending for Toy Story 4 almost. Uh, let's toss this one on the tripometer. 0 is not trippy at all. 5 is very trippy.
Um, I I don't think it's very trippy, but it's up there. I think that this is like a 3.8 to a 4. It is trippy enough that a character has more sentience now or more agency than the other characters around her. So Michelle's reality has completely changed. So that's trippy, but that's only really trippy to the extent that a computer program can be trippy. It can be on a trip. Um, for Phineas, I don't think it's any more trippy than just, again, the tragedy that somebody in a coma who's having a dream and having the dream that he wants, having the dream that he paid for, you know? So it's trippy, but I don't think it's super trippy for him.
I'd probably go like slightly higher here. I was thinking somewhere
Yeah.
between like I didn't want to go as high as 4.5. I was thinking 4 or a little higher. So I'm just a tick higher. I mean,
Okay. All
you
right.
put a Death Star in the city sky. That's doing a lot for me.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
You got weird glitches going on, that's good. Again, the whole what is Michelle, what is Phineas, how are they linked? That's I mean, we got
Yeah.
into that for quite a bit of time, so that's all very
Yeah.
trippy stuff for me. Um,
Yeah.
and actually, past Twilight Zone episodes that really echo, or this one echoes, what one comes to mind that you were here for. back in the day, which is the world of difference, which is kind
Mm.
of, this has the more Black Mirror, modern tech gloss
Yeah,
on it. It's got the gender
yeah,
bend, which tends to be a more modern media, but a world of difference is kind of doing the same thing. It's just that
right.
virtual world is now somehow caused by acting, which I guess that's method acting, but Jared
Yeah,
Leto level method acting, where you're sending dead rats to your co-stars in the mail.
we, yeah. Oof.
But yeah, that I guess that would, but I do not think Downtime is like a copy of that episode. They just have some nice
No,
themes
no,
that resonate with each other.
right. Agreed.
Again, elegy, all the frozen acting, you get that. But again, this isn't a copy of that. So yeah, I was pretty happy with this one. This one was
Mhm.
32 minutes. That's
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
25 is, I still say 25 is the sweet spot for a Twilight Zone, but 32 is, not pushing the envelope too hard. So I
No,
did
I
not
think you're
feel
right.
like, actually, I don't know why, but my file still had like, I thought this was a 43-minute episode. My file just had like a glitch at the end, which
Oh.
is weird for this episode. So it ended like way before I thought it was going to.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
I was like, oh, we're finished? Really? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it gives you just enough detail. It is just trippy enough. Yeah, it works. It works.
Um, I guess we'll wrap this one up, but I believe you've been going to the academy these days over in your podcasting world.
Oh man, yeah. We have been doing Mission Log Reactor, which is a new way to kind of stay on top of current Star Trek. So, Starfleet Academy, that we will record our final episode tomorrow, and I think we're three ahead. So we're getting there. We're coming up to the end of its 10 episode season, and then I will absolutely need to turn my attention back to Mission Log. And I promise I've gotten so many emails, but I promise you, Mission Log will come back with Enterprise. But you know what? I needed a break. It's been 14 years doing Star Trek podcasts, and I'm still not totally on a break because I'm doing Reactor for Starfleet Academy. So Star Trek is very much around in my everyday life.
All right, but yeah, hours and hours of that. You can go all the way back to the original series for that. You can do your DS9, you can do your whatever.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Over here, I of course do way too much podcasting as well. Time Enough Podcast, do it, rate, review that how you want. Podcastius has some other ones like Films and Filth. I think you're due on there before too long. I think we're yeah. You got an
Nice.
invite
Can't
coming
wait.
there. We look
Can't
at
wait.
really high and low rated movies on the Internet Movie Database. We just had a very weird excursion to do all the Fast and Furious movies. So ever watch any of
Cool.
those?
Nope. Not a
Okay.
one.
Part of the conceit was I hadn't, so they were all new to me. So,
All right.
um, you can get into it. It's not my favorite. I'm more of a Trekkie. We'll say that at the end. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it is interesting just to crack open a franchise and do the whole thing, especially when it's so
Sure.
weird and bizarre and convoluted as that one. Okay. Well, enjoy your downtime. Go eyes agape at that eye in the sky. Dun, dun, now you got a song stuck in your
I
head.
know that was going to be stuck in my head. Thank you.
Okay, I'll hit that one.